Hi guys, this is the video for June 18th and 19th elementary curriculum, and we're right in the middle of our gospel. No, we're not. We're right in the middle of our Armor of God series. So last week you did the belt of truth. This week we're going to be talking about the breastplate of righteousness and the shoes of peace. So you'll start with the same memory verse, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, and then you have a game. It's just an activity to help get them into understanding righteousness and the right path. So you will put the kids in the middle of the classroom, and then one side of the room is A and one side of the room is B, and you'll ask a series of questions with A and B answers, and they have to choose which side to go on. And then once you've identified which side they're on, you can talk about which side is the right side. And some of them are really hard. Some of them are pretty easy. The first one, for example, is your friends want you to hang out some more, but your parents say no. Do you A, stay and hang out a few more minutes, or B, go home because your parents told you to do so? So that sort of thing. So that will help you transition into your lesson. And the first thing you'll talk about is the breastplate of righteousness. Now, remember, we are using kind of an analogy of a Roman soldier, so you'll have pictures to show them. But we'll first talk about what the Roman soldier used the breastplate for in a physical form. He used it to protect his vital organs from arrows and swords. He protected his actual heart. Well, the spiritual armor, the spiritual breastplate also protects our heart, but in a different way. And so we kind of identify and unpack what that breastplate is protecting us, right? And how it's protecting. It's protecting through righteousness. So again, we are weaving in gospel truths the entire month long through the whole series. So if you remember back to the balloon gospel, today we're kind of focusing on that clean heart because we're talking about righteousness and where we receive righteousness from. Of course, righteousness comes from Jesus' sacrifice and our salvation through him. And so when we talk about righteousness, we're going to talk about that verse, 1 John 4:9, that talks about how when we confess our sins, when we tell on ourselves that God is faithful and he will always forgive us, and we will be continually cleansed. We, as children of God, we will fail. We're not perfect, and so we will continue to sin. But the great news is that God loves us, and he wants us to be near to him today and forever. And the way we get righteousness is by confessing, telling on ourselves, and trusting and believing in Jesus, and he will wash us clean, and we will receive that righteousness, and that will protect our hearts. So that's your breastplate of righteousness. You're first talking about breastplate, then you talk about what righteousness is, and then you talk about the heart and why the heart is so important to be protected. And then we go into the shoes of peace. So we talk about the shoes. Why were shoes important to the Roman soldiers? And there's this really cool picture of their flat shoe with the spikes in the bottom, kind of like a soccer cleat, and how the shoe not only protected their feet, but kept them firm and solid, that they weren't not be able to be knocked down very easily. And so we'll talk a little bit about what it means to be knocked down, that we've all had that experience where we've felt knocked down in the past, either emotionally or physically being knocked down. And so how important it is for us to have a solid foundation. So our solid foundation, our shoes, are in the gospel of peace, and so or are in peace. So we talk about what peace is. We'll talk a little bit about what the world sees as peace, and then we talk about what God sees as peace. And God's peace is this inner resting of our soul. And then we can transition into how we get that peace, where that peace comes from, and the secret is that it's in the gospel, that we have this incredible, as children of God, we can have an incredible inner peace, that we won't waver no matter what circumstances coming at us, no matter what we're being attacked by. We can be strong and solid and peaceful because we know the gospel, because we carry the good news, because we know that no matter what, Jesus died to save us from our sins, and that we have salvation and eternity with God because of that. And then we talk a lot about the application is how we share the good news, that we need to walk the walk. We need to show Jesus' love to others to share the good news. So that is your day. It's a lot. It's a pretty big, intense lesson about righteousness and the gospel and peace. And I hope that we were able to do it in a way that these kids can understand and embrace and hopefully apply to their lives in a daily way. So after the story, again, you have the mini-me's. So you should have your mini-me version of the armored child. Hand them back out to the kids, and then you're going to have your shoes, and you'll have your breastplate to add to the mini-me character. So that is it for the week. Thank you guys again for your incredible service. And for those of you who helped us for VBS last week, we just thank you so much. It's such an incredible event that we are able to participate in and serve others towards God in. So I just thank you for being a part of it. I hope you have a great week, and we'll talk soon.